Welcome to the broadcast.
I am beholden to you for giving me this opportunity, and with utmost gratitude, I consider it a very great honor.
Well,
thank you, Ann.
Well, thank you, sir. It's been wonderful getting to know you. First, I had heard of you, and then when I stepped into Facebook several years ago, I began to notice your incredible writings, and then I saw that you we began to talk on the telephone to get to know each other better. And you have a remarkable background. You're former visiting fellow of St. John's College in Cambridge, and you've been in the vanguard of many movements for a sustainable environment, total disarmament, human rights, and one world mankind. Indeed, Dr. Gandhi, you're a moving, powerful voice for us in contemporary English poetry, and you have a unique place in the world of mysticism and poetry for peace. You've been a winner of many awards, and you've authored 11 volumes of poetry, which is quite stunning to me. You're also the founder and director of the Center for Third World Studies and Research, president of Gandhi Earth Vision Foundation, and president of the Poetry Society of India. Even still now, you're editor of collected works of Lala Lajpat Rai, I hope I said that right, Earth Vision, and South Asia newsletter.
I feel so humbled by your reading of my bio profile. You're so generous and kind. I would say I am just an ordinary person, and I have been living a very ordinary life, a simple living in that way.
I love that you have chosen to live a simple life. Your ongoing prolific writings continue to appear on Facebook. How often do you sit down to write, and for how long during an average day during these last 30 years?
I am not computer savvy, first I must admit. Earlier I used to have an assistant. I would just say that this is the poem and you put it on the Facebook. Subsequently, I learned it the hard way because the man left me, and therefore I had no option except to just continue posting on the Facebook. Mostly I spend, 4 or 5 hours average on the Facebook, commenting people, reading other people's posts, and posting my 3 or 4 poems. Earlier I used to post 3 or 4 poems, right. But now, I can't post more than 1 poem, or sometimes 2 poems.
Yes, I've noticed that, and that's quite remarkable.
Thank you very much.
And 4 or 5 hours, and I do understand that about you, that you do 4 or 5 hours because you're listening, you're reading, you're getting to know the lifeblood of the planet and where people are right now.
Very few people, read my poems, I would say. Average is about 40 to 50, I believe.
Huh.
So, but I'm satisfied because even though few, but they are very serious persons, and I'm blessed that you happen to be one of them.
Well, that you know of. Let me say that you know of.
You see, I don't, in fact, have any kind of feeling whether people, read me or they don't read me, or they comment upon my poetry or they don't comment on my poetry. That is not my consideration. I am only just a compulsive and impulsive and impelling writer that way. And I have a message and I want that it should be communicated. And therefore, you see, I continue to post, and I feel blessed and satisfied.
Mm. Well, it certainly paid off because many, many people are being blessed by your writings. And
yes, I feel that people have been very generous. They have called me poet's poet. They have also called me the continuator of the mystic tradition, metaphysical tradition. They have also called me the promoter of the poetry of peace. And I have been awarded on the Facebook by the Foundation of Peace for the award of peace and harmony. So that way, I have no complaints. I feel that God has been gracious, and whatever I write, that is being read by perceptive minds, and they appreciate also.
And they do. So is it possible for you to discuss your process when you write? When I read your writings, it appears that it actually flowed through you. Is this true, or do you sometimes labor for the right words? Is there an extensive...
You see, English is not a language that has brewed with me with mother's milk. And therefore, you see, I don't think that I have command over the language. I have very limited vocabulary. But you see, when the divine apparatus that is in my heart or within my being, when it wells up, you see, then language becomes just a vehicle of ideas. And the words automatically, you see, come. And I use the words that pop up for the first time. And therefore, there is spontaneity in my writings. And I don't know whether the words are absolutely, apt and appropriate, and they have the right nuances to convey the subtlety of my feelings and sensations. But I am satisfied. At least, you see, they convey what I wish to convey.
Do the words just come to you, Madan Ji? Or do you labor sometimes for the correct writings?
You see, must I admit that sometimes I labor for the right word also. There is no sort of hiding the fact, because I have told you that I have a limited vocabulary. But I don't see dictionary or thesaurus or any other thing, you see, while I am writing. And most of the time I do not embellish my poems and go on, you see, correcting them and changing them.
You do
that
not.
I don't do.
You let them go as they are.
I just let it go as it is.
During the seasons of writing a lot, words coming to you, do you have different poems going at one time, different writings with papers everywhere, or do you focus on one, complete that, and go on to the other one?
Yes. In fact, when I was young, the first poem on which I got the award, that was Tagore Award, that I wrote in 1961, and I got All India Tagore Centenary Prize on that poem. And Mr. Harindranath Chattopadhyay, who was Sarojini Naidu's son and a very established poet, he got the second prize. So after that, you see, I have been scribbling and jotting on stray papers. And it was only, you see, when I joined the Facebook, I tried to just collect all those scribbles which had not yet been published in the form of books in my anthologies, to just make a fair copy and making it print-worthy and posting it on the Facebook. So that is how I just began. And the process continued for some time. After that, you see, I felt that there are two areas which in which I was all the time possessed. And one was spirituality, not religion, but spirituality.
Yes.
And the other was this problem of environmental degradation and problem of war and terror and violence. These are the areas which you see got most of my attention. So quite a few of the poems that I have wrote during the last 2 years, they just belong to these three categories. I must tell you that my father was a Sahajdari Sikh, and he was a Gyani, and used to read Gurbani every day and do Guru Granth Sahib Prakash also. When he died, he had Japji on his lips. So for 2 years, I was in fact silent, and I did not read anything except Japji and Sukhmani. And it was only during that period I wrote, rather I would say, God, you see, gave me the power to write about Japji. And that Japji has been published now. I had given it to Mr. Khushwant Singh. It was with him for quite some time. Later on, he gave it to me, and he said that it is an excellent sort of transcreation. And the message which I had written, you see, that also is in 75 pages. It is very comprehensive, and I have delved deep into the structure of Japji, which is very logical, and I have in fact said that it's got mathematical sort of aspect about it, so far the structure is concerned. So that way, that and Sukhmani also, these are the two sort of works on which I have written extensively.
Your father was a Sikh, you said, a Gyani.
My grandfather was a Sikh.
Your grandfather.
And some of his sons were Sikhs with hair, and one or two were without, they were clean shaven, I would say like that. So my father was a clean shaven Sikh, but a Sikh in the true sense of the term, a Gurmukh, I would say,
yes.
Who just believed in the tenets of the Gurus. And he used to read Gurbani every day without any sort of break, and was a spiritual person. So it was he who influenced me, and it was because of him that I was initiated into the Guru Granth Sahib, and I wrote on Japji Sahib and Sukhmani Sahib, and I think that they fit in my worldview also, yes. Because I feel that this Sukhmani Sahib is a psalm of peace, and this Japji Sahib is a vision of God, Guru Nanak's vision of God, I would say, but it is the vision of, you see, one God.
I agree. I agree. As you know, I go to the Sikh Gurdwara every week. So do you now? I thought you somewhat followed some form of Hinduism. What might?
See, I may tell you one thing, that my father was in fact a cosmopolitan person, and he had a very good library, and it contained the basic books of most of the big major religions of the world. And I got an opportunity of reading them at a very young age, impressionable age. I believe in the essential unity of all religions.
Beautiful.
And I have been propagating it all my life. And I also feel that belief in religion is believing in some other's point of view. But I believe in spirituality. My own spiritual experiences, they have also testified that essentially all mankind is one. And essentially, God is one. And everything else is infinite possibilities. Because the Creator is one, rest is all infinite potentialities, possibilities. So, even my thinking and my own spiritual sort of inquiries into my own being, they have also, you see, I don't say that I have arrived. I am just still groping. But this question has been haunting me since my teens. Who am I? Where from I have come? What is the purpose of my life? What is the purpose of this existence, universe? So, is there any one creator of this universe? All these are basic questions which have been haunting me all my life. I have been trying to sincerely and honestly trying to find answers within myself. And also, when I read various scriptures of the world, they have also tried to deal with these types of questions. What is life? What is death? What is time? What is eternity? What is love? All these questions I have been also thinking about most of them. And they are reflected very much in my poems also. Many of my poems are on unconditional love. Very few are on erotic love, but most of them are on love sublime.
Yes, I have noticed that, and I really respect that. Now, why would I think that you attend Hindu temples at times?
No, I don't go to Hindu temples or any temples for that matter.
But I mean, in the last,
I believe that there is a temple in our hearts. When we say
beautiful.
Man Mandir, I feel that our body itself is a temple, and we are only desecrating it most of the time. And in temple, you see, these days, it is the priests who have in fact monopolized God, and they are sitting, you see, and exploiting it. And there is a conspiracy between the politicians and the priests. Priests have been responsible for all the wars of religions and spreading the parochial darknesses all the time, creating these dogmas, fundamentalisms, and all that. And so are politicians.
Of course, we must say not all priests, but I do understand. Now, do you consider yourself, do people consider you to be a Sikh? The people that know you all your life, do they consider
you? See, I don't, you see, give any identity there anywhere. Who am I? Because all these are names. Okay. All these are names. If a person is born in a Sikh family, he becomes a Sikh. If a person is born in a Hindu family, he becomes a Hindu. See, so far your association with any religious denomination is concerned, that is not a matter of choice with you. That you have yourself discovered who you are. In fact, that label is given to you by your parents or by the people around you and all that. So I don't believe in these types of identities. I believe in a borderless world. I believe in a religion-free world. I believe in spirituality. I believe in the unity of existence. I believe in one life. I believe in one earth, mankind. So this is the type of, you see, feelings I have been able to inculcate in myself, and this is what I have been able to understand after my own thinking over the years.
When did you write your first poem? Do you still have it?
You see, I wrote my first poem, I think, when I was 8. I wrote it in Hindi or Punjabi, I don't know. After that, I have been writing, you see. When I was about 21 years, I had already written an epic also in Hindi that was called Vishwina, and many poems, and many odes in English. When I read those odes to one of my teachers, he said they have got the echo of Shelley and Keats and other romantic poets. So when I was possessed by dispassion and wanted to renounce the world, and I took all these manuscripts with me and my degrees also, and I consigned them to the Ganges. I said that I don't need them now. If God gives me any kind of power someday, then people will know me. And if there is something to be written, God will just see that it is written. But since I had to come back on the behest of some sort of saint, that I came back and started my studies. I was student of BA at that time.
So you wrote your first poem at 8. You started reading your father's immense library of books on all religions at age 15. When did you first realize you were different? At what age?
I am not, in fact, I was different. I used to go in trances and samadhi and all that. But my father told me that you have to be ordinary and the same as other people are from the outside. But if there is any uniqueness or if there is any difference, that should be within you. And you must, earn your livelihood by the sweat of your brow. And he spoke in Hindi that haq halal ki kamai khao, ईमानदारी से रहो और पूरी विनम्रता के साथ जियो. ये संसार जो है ये एक कर्म भूमि है. So this is what he used to tell me, that this world is a sort of place for action, and you should stay like ordinary people. And if there is any uniqueness, that should be within you. It should not be discernible to people, and you should be humble. And you should be having all love and affection for the people who come into your contact. Earn your bread with honesty and teach your students with absolute sincerity. I have lived my father's words. Therefore, so far the people around me are concerned, they don't think that I am at all different from them. I just feel myself one of them, and they also feel that I am like them.
Well, at what age did you start suddenly going into what you're calling a trance? At what age?
Yes. You see, that experience I have been right from my childhood.
Wow. Okay, when did you decide to go into the high Himalayas? And how long did you stay? And what was your lifestyle like?
You see, my father also had this type of feelings, and he remained in trance for quite some time. And ultimately, my mother had to call his guru. He was in Lahore. He was the leader of the Sanjeevani Ashram there. A scientist. He brought him, and ultimately he was able to just bring him back to normal life. Similarly, I also went in a trance, and it was my friend, colleague, Professor S.S. Chawla. He informed my parents who were living at Chandigarh, and they reached on 26th January, that is the precise date, at 3:30 in the night, and I was in a trance for the last 6, 7 hours, 8 hours. So it was he who brought me back by singing a sort of bhajans or Gurbani, and brought me back to normal life. And after that he said that what is this trance, that people think that you are dead or you are abnormal. There is something that happened to him, and they call me from Chandigarh, and you have already donated everything in your house, and they said that you are going to leave again for the wilderness of the Himalayas. So he said that you should live like an ordinary life, and if at all this samadhi is concerned, They should be 24-hour thing with you.
How long were you in the mountains? How long were you there?
It was about 1 year.
Only 1 year. Okay,
Yes.
that's good. That's good that you had wise people around you.
I went up to Gomukh. That is from where the Ganges begins. And there is a Tapomani wilderness for the saints, for penance. I went there and stayed for almost 6 months there. And then I also stayed for some time in the Hemkund mountains. There is a Tapomani. There also I stayed there. It was a wandering life, you see, I would say.
Yes. Have you had visions, what I call visions, where you see things and you also know about what you that you have lived?
I used to have very exact visions. Whatever I would see in the vision, that will happen without any change. That also I experienced. You may call it telepathy, you may call it clairvoyance, you may call it, you see, clairaudience, or whatever you may call it. But I used to have these types of spiritual experiences.
In those visions, especially when you saw your past lives, what specifically do you remember from living before, and how many lives do you remember?
You see, I don't claim to see at the moment that I remember all my lives. I remembered a few lives, you see, I would say, in the sense that there is one Brigu Scroll in Hoshiarpur, from where, you see, our friend, you see, belongs, Ben Saab. In that scroll, you see, my horoscope was read. And it said that 29 years ago, I was a saint in the Hemkund mountains, and my name was Madan. And in one life, I was King Yajati. And in this person, it is Yajati's soul that has been traveling from various lives. And in this life also, he has the quality of forgiving others. That quality has been in him when he was Yajati, and this will continue in all his lives. It was written that in last life also I was a saint, and fourth life from this life I was also a saint. So these are the sort of connections. And the very fact that right from the childhood I was in having these types of visions of different places. So and all the time there was a sort of a feeling that I should go to those places and see there. So that way, I think what was written in those scrolls was subsequently, you see, confirmed. Or it was confirmed later on, but I had already experienced these things earlier.
You used the word saint, but you also used another word about the soul traveling. Would you?
No, I didn't travel anywhere. I didn't go traveling in the. See, when you are in a trance, it is a sort of tunnel, you see, and you just start seeing with the third eye into that tunnel, and whatever point you concentrate, you will see that. If I just concentrate now that I am just going to see you, and I am in a trance, I will see you, see, entering me and broadcasting. So it is that type of thing, you see, that I meant when I said this.
Yes,
I have written a very long poem, Mystic Science. In that, you see, I have tried to narrate this personal autobiography. When in my trances, I even heard the first sermons given by various saints. I even heard Christ's first sermon and his voice. And it was so musical language and so musical voice, I have no words for it. And the music still haunts me. The rhythm still haunts me. Later on, I had a talk with Mr. David Frost, who is the principal of the Orthodox Christian Studies. He said that he was my colleague there at St. John's College, Cambridge. He told me that Armenian language is very musical, and whatever you heard, that must be the Christ voice.
Mm.
Yes.
That's beautiful. What a phenomenal gift, and what you've done with it to bless the planet. Do you have any understanding of the potentials for the planet? Can we make a difference?
My only message to my contemporaries is that they must, you see, consider that this is the only earth that is our home. It is a habitat where we are born, where we live. We have to preserve it. We have to save it. And true to the Vedic rishis, they also said that in the Bhuma Sukta of the Rig Veda, it is written that whatever you just take from earth, give it back to the earth. So if we will just create a sort of sustainable environment and try to just stop vandalism, destroying our forests, polluting our rivers, and creating, you see, all type of filth everywhere around us. So polluting the air, polluting the water, all the vital things that give us life. So one thing that I would like to just speak at this moment is. Second is this total disarmament. I am in favor of total disarmament, and I believe that stockpiling of nuclear weapons has to be stopped forthwith. And if all these efforts and money that we spend on these weapons, if we spend for the removal of poverty, ignorance from the globe, that would be a money better spent and towards peace. So basically, I believe in absolute nonviolence and absolute pacifism. I don't subscribe to the theory, mad syndrome, that is mutually assured destruction. And some political thinkers think that this will act as a deterrent. But I don't think it will act as a deterrent. Mutually assured destruction means the destruction of the whole mankind. And it will lead to thermonuclear confrontations at one stage or the other. Whether it is a provoked or it is unprovoked. But something can happen. You can imagine that there is a pile of nuclear weapons lying, you see, there at the crossroads, and there is a sort of also warning signal that if nobody should throw any kind of explosive or burnt cigarette, etc. But some foolish person, some mad person, some negligent person may come and throw the burnt as of the cigarette there, and there may be total sort of catastrophe and destruction and global homicide, I would say. So therefore, I am absolutely against these nuclear weapons. I am against nuclear weapons that we have created. I am against nuclear weapons that Pakistan has created, or America has created, or Russia has created, or China has created. I am not in favor of it, because with this type of cupidity in the minds of the politicians, who are all the time thinking of their national interests and not in the interests of global humanity, any day, you see, there can be any type of war. Earlier in the history, people have fought wars in the name of coexistence in order to safeguard democracy, to support some sort of a piece of land which some of their ancestors at some point of time had annexed. So that way, there will be many types of, you see, excuses to just unleash a war. And this time the war will not be a localized war, because earlier wars used to be fought with bows and arrows, and this war will be a nuclear war. And it can even just convert itself into a star war, and will bring nothing but nuclear winters and total destruction of not only Earth, but the entire globe.
My goodness.
So this is what I feel.
Well, and I totally agree with you about the nuclear any kind of nuclear energy, because mankind, humans, have developed an energy that they don't know what to do with it.
Even if you may say nuclear energy for peaceful purposes, very good. It sounds very good.
But
you have to.
Madamji, right there, used for peaceful purposes. What about in Japan, the nuclear meltdown? Because the waste products, they can't go anywhere.
This can happen anywhere. The nuclear reactors, you see, there can be a natural sort of a calamity, and as a result of natural calamity, there may be some breach in some nuclear reactor, and with the winds, the nuclear sort of rays may travel anywhere in the world and create, you see, havoc. So this is not a safe thing. Whatever precautions you may take.
Let's say within the next 5 years, there's complete disarmament. Let's just put that on the table.
I am in favor of complete disarmament.
But Madanji, what should they do with and then they shut down all the nuclear plants. Let's just say that. What are we going to do with those weapons and those plants? Because they're still very dangerous. Even if they disarm them.
They have also to be dismantled, you see, very consciously and very safely. Otherwise, you see, nature will take the vengeance, and as it happened in Japan, it can happen anywhere. There can be Chernobyl anywhere else also, and this Bhopal gas tragedy, this can happen anywhere. So we have to be just very sort of worry about these things, and we should not allow these nuclear reactors and nuclear weapons to proliferate in the world.
I agree.
I think that the politicians and the priests are the spiritual leaders from whom we could expect all these things, that they should become the opinion leader of mankind. They have failed us, and now I feel that it is the poets who are the holy hunger heroes, and it is they who ultimately should take command, or the people should take command, I would say, and they should just reverse all these trends towards, you see, global homicide.
I'm going to read a poem you posted called The Invisible Jury. My shadow is growing larger. Its umbilical cord is becoming invisible, and it is seen walking with giant steps encompassing the earth and heaven. I watch it merge into a life cloud and sink into the Milky Way. A giant fish, leaping up and down, collides against the rim of a fleet on an espionage mission. Writing my name in darkness in lettering of fire, the ideal crosses my mind. My moment has come. I close my eyes to pray. Suddenly, lifted by a tide, I become part of the longest current, sweeping across the waters. I feel I am on some other planet, transported by a light beam. From within the life cloud, someone appears on the screen, jutting out from a crystal ball, making a V sign pointing north. Suddenly, I fall into a spell. My shadow confronts me with a grin. Are you the one who have devastated the land and the sea, spread pollution everywhere, making the planet uninhabitable? I feel the poison enter my being, my throat choked, my voice lost, my sight blurred. See the ethereal, exquisitely wrought, silken layer of ozone, showing up patches here and there, larger than the size of the Atlantic Ocean. Aren't you the one who punctured it? The verse of the tone is electrifying. The accumulated guilt of all my sins rises up in my fervent brain. As a heavy load weighs me down, I feel utterly down and out. Other shadowy figures join in pointing their bayonets at me. Oh God, I am ruined, I say to myself. Then from the jury, someone thunders, aren't you enacted Chernobyl and Bhopal? How long have you been in this life-killing trade, making poisonous gases for chemical war, exploding the atom and the nuclei to unleash annihilation on Earth and the outer space, to efface life from the cosmic womb? The scroll of your crimes is too long. Punishment for each of them is eternal damnation, the jury thunders. The nightmare shadows swirl in my brain, and I taste the hellish pain. I carry a time bomb tied to my waist. I feel like pushing the button to outwit the insistent Inquisition, but the fear of instant death restrains me. I picture doomsday staring at me, my whole cerebral mechanism, unable to bear the load, breaks down. I suffer brain hemorrhage. I go into a coma, but they will not let me die. In an instant, they revive. Again, I am before the jury, dumbfounded, pleading guilty, unable to defend. A knock at the door wakes me up from my nocturnal session with the invisible jury. Oh, my, what a vivid poem. Well, thank you, Madan Ji.
Thank you. May God bless you.